Welcome back to Electronics. This video is about neural networks. First, we will see what exactly is this neural networks, and then we will see the mostly used activation functions. And finally, I have explained the perceptron training algorithm. At last, I have also explained the deep learning frameworks. The frameworks required to implement these deep learning models. Do subscribe and hit the bell icon to be updated with my new videos. Now let's get into the video.
Topology of neural networks and frameworks of deep learning. Basically, there are many ways of getting the nodes of a neural network together, and each way results possibly in a more or less complex behavior. Now, the best of all topologies is a feed-forward network. So, in feed-forward neural network, signals flow in one direction without any loops in the signal paths. And typically, artificial neural networks have a layered structure. So, it totally have three layers. Input layers, where the inputs will be given and then they are passed on to the hidden layers, from where the output is passed to the output layer. So now, let me tell you the inspiration behind these neural networks. It is based on biological neural network of brain. For this, you need to know about the biological neuron before knowing about the artificial neuron. This biological neuron will have three main components as dendrite, cell body and axon. The dendrites receives the signals while the cell body processes the signals and axon sends the signals out to other neurons. Similarly, an artificial neuron has one input stage and processing stage with a number of hidden layers and single output stage that will fan out to more number of other neurons. Now, let us see the structure of artificial neurons. These artificial neurons are the most fundamental units of deep neural network. It takes an input, then processes it, passes it through an activation and returns the output if the condition is met, or else it will process it again until you get the correct output. Such type of artificial neurons are called as perceptrons. These perceptrons are the linear models used for binary classification. So, here in the figure we have x1, x2, x3 and going on till xn are the inputs in the input layer to which we add the weights and bias in a randomly selected manner. So here W1, W2, W3 and going on till Wn are the weights which will be multiplied with the corresponding inputs and all the inputs together, and finally we add bias to the total sum. Now, the final sum will be passed on to the activation function which finally gives us output. So now, let us see how this perceptron actually works. Here, the three arrows are the inputs coming into the network, and these are the weights for these three inputs, that is 0.7, 0.6 and 1.4. Now, these weights will be multiplied to their corresponding inputs and they are summed up. Let x1, x2, x3 be the inputs and w1, w2, w3 be the weights, and then the sum will be x1 into w1, that is 0.7 plus x2 into w2 is 0.6 plus x3 into 1.4. And now an offset will be added to the sum called bias, which is used for scaling purposes, and it is a constant number. So this is how a perceptron actually works. Now let us understand the concept between weights. These weights determine the relative importance of inputs. Here we have two inputs, one is humidity and the other one is wearing a blue shirt. So here we can see that wearing a blue shirt has almost no correlation with the possibility of having rainfall. So the weight W2 assigned to the input x2 will be lower in order to bring down its importance. This is how the weights are assigned to the inputs. Now let us see the need of activation function. Let us consider this scenario where we have two classes. One class is represented by triangles while the other class with circles. Now, if we are asked to separate these two classes using a linear decision boundary, that is not possible, right? So, now let me tell you how that can be done. we have to add a third dimension to create a linearly separable model. So, with the third dimension, non-linearity is introduced, which helps in creating a linearly separable model. In real world, we don't always get linear problems, so we should be aware of solving non-linear problems also. Now, this is how the activation function helps us to convert linear equation to non-linear form. These activation functions bring in non-linear functional mappings between the input and the response variable. The main aim of this activation function is to convert input signal of a node in artificial neural network to an output signal. And if we don't apply an activation function, then the output signal could just be a simple linear function. From this, you get to know the purpose of activation function. There are many types of activation functions, but now we'll see some of the widely used ones. Now, let us start with binary step function. This binary step function is usually denoted by h or theta and is a discontinuous function. In this, if the input is less than 0, then the output is 0. And if the input is greater than 0, then the output will be 1. And so, the binary step function is used to solve binary classification problems. Next is the identity function. The identity or linear activation function gives the output same as input. No matter how many layers we have, if all the activations are identity functions, then the final output of the last layer is nothing but the input to the first layer. The range will be from -infinity to +infinity. After that, we have the sigmoid function. The formula for sigmoid is 1 upon 1 plus e power of minus x. The sigmoid function basically scales the values between 0 and 1. So, if the input is a large negative number, it is scaled towards 0, and if it is a large positive number, then it is scaled towards 1. Next, we have tanh function. The tanh activation function is a hyperbolic trigonometric function which scales the values between -1 and +1. The major advantage is it can deal more easily with negative numbers. Next, we have ReLU function, which stands for rectified linear unit. This is the most used activation function, which is primarily implemented on the hidden layers of the neural network. So, how it works is, if the input is less than 0, then the output is 0. And if the input is equal or greater than 0, then it acts as an identity function and gives the output same as input. Then we have leaky ReLU activation function, which is just a modified version of ReLU activation function. In leaky ReLU, without completely removing the negative part, it just lowers the magnitude. And finally, we have the softmax function, which is ideally used in the output layer for classification problems. The softmax function basically gives a set of probability values for each class of the output, and that particular class which would have the maximum probability will be the output class. So this is all about the activation functions. Now let us know more about the perceptrons. So training a perceptron. So these perceptrons also require training. They have a learning algorithm through which they produce the output. Training the perceptron means that we find a plane, hyperplane, or a line that can accurately separate the classes by adjusting the weights and biases. So here is an image with dogs and horses given as input to the model. Then after the first iteration, the error value here is 2 because the horse has been classified as dog and there is one dog which is classified as horse. So the error is 2. By the second iteration, the error value is reduced to 1 as it is just the dog that is classified as horse. And finally, in the third iteration, we get the correct output as the perceptron has been trained well with no error. So all the dogs and horses are placed in their respective classes. So here you can clearly see how the planes are adjusted to accurately separate the circles and dots. Now let us see the actual algorithm of how the perceptron is being trained. Here, the perceptron have multiple inputs and each input is initialized with a random weight. After this, we multiply these weights with their corresponding inputs to which the bias will be added, and then we get the final sum. Now, this input will be passed through the activation function, which will give us a non-linear output. So, until here, this process is known as feed forwarding. Now, if the output we get is not optimum, then we calculate the error in prediction and we go back to update the weights and bias. This process where we go from output to the input layer is called as backpropagation, and we keep on backpropagating until we get the desired output. This is how a perceptron learning algorithm works. Here is the flowchart of how it is working. Now let us see the benefits of using ANN. Neural networks have the ability to learn by themselves and produce the output that is not limited to the input provided to them. The input is stored in its own networks instead of a database, hence the loss of data does not affect its working. These networks can learn from examples and apply them when a similar event arises, making them able to work through the real-time events. Even if a neuron is not responding or a piece of information is missing, the network can detect the fault and still produce the output. They can perform multiple tasks in parallel without affecting the system performance. This is all about the topology of neural network. Now, let us see the deep learning frameworks. To implement the ANN, that is the artificial neural network, you would need the deep learning frameworks. The deep learning libraries that help in implementing artificial neural networks are TensorFlow, Keras, DL4J, PyTorch, and MXNet. TensorFlow is one of the best deep learning frameworks that we have today. It is an open source software library developed by engineers from Google. One well-known use case of TensorFlow is Google Translate. This Google Translate is coupled with capabilities such as natural language processing, text classification, forecasting, and tagging. TensorFlow comes with two tools, there is TensorBoard and TensorFlow Serving. So building massive deep neural networks will be complex and confusing. This is where we can use TensorBoard. Then we have the TensorFlow Serving, which is a flexible and high performance serving system which can be used for rapid deployment of new algorithms or experiments while retaining the same server architecture and APIs. Now, let's look at the next deep learning framework, which is Keras. Keras is basically a high-level API which can run on other deep learning libraries like TensorFlow, Theano, and CNTK. You can implement both recurrent and convolutional neural networks with the help of Keras. Next, we have PyTorch, which is a scientific computing framework developed by Facebook. From the name itself, we can say that PyTorch is Pythonic in nature. A great feature of PyTorch is that it offers dynamic computational graphs, which is useful when we have no idea of how much memory is required for creating a neural network model. Next deep learning framework is DL4J. Unlike deep learning frameworks which we saw till now all based on Python, this Deep Learning 4j is a deep learning programming library which is written for Java on a Java virtual machine. So, the capabilities of this DL4j are image recognition, text mining, fraud detection, parts of speech tagging, natural language processing. And the last framework is MXNet. MXNet is a deep learning framework developed by Apache Software Foundation specifically for the purpose of efficiency, flexibility, and productivity. It also gives users the ability to code in a variety of programming languages such as Python, R, Scala, and Julia. It has the capabilities of imaging, forecasting, speech recognition, and natural language processing. This is all about the frameworks of deep learning.
So if you have any doubts regarding this topic, please let me know through the comment section or mail me at anitronics.info@gmail.com. Thank you for watching this video.